Hi.
Hi.
I'm here with Sally Schindel. She's with Mom Strong Marijuana Victims Alliance, and she is involved with opposing marijuana legalization because.
Because I got involved with this when my son died by suicide, leaving a note saying that his soul was already dead. Marijuana killed his soul, plus ruined his brain. I went to work learning about marijuana, and I'm quite horrified at what I've learned and realize we have a country nearly out of control, and we've got to tell these stories. We have to share these stories. We have to tell people the stories of what has happened to our children and in our communities, just everywhere we look. So many people are not recognizing what a serious problem this is becoming.
Yeah.
This is,
When I share Andy's story, your son was Andy Zorn, and I share his story, well, they say, well, kids shouldn't have marijuana. Would you like to tell everybody how old Andy was when he lost?
Andy was 31 years old when he lost his life. I believe his first use of marijuana was age 14 or earlier, but it was caught early, and wasn't a problem teenage user. He did not have a problem. He was in the Army, served in the Army. He probably didn't have very much opportunity to use marijuana in the Army. He was an adult before addiction caught up with him. But the more I learn about marijuana and about the disease of addiction, I think the seeds were probably planted when he was younger.
Yeah. And was he recommended medical marijuana?
He went to a medical marijuana doctor in Arizona and said, I broke my leg 10 years ago and it still hurts. Do I qualify? And they said, well, sure. And he said, he didn't tell me who did this, but he said he also received training in how to buy in quantity in a medical marijuana dispensary so that he could share his bounty with his friends.
Oh, boy.
The medical marijuana program in Arizona has a lot of loopholes. It's very clearly and obviously abused by recreational users.
And Andy was in and out of psychiatric hospitals and treatment centers too?
No, never a treatment center.
Okay.
Just in and out of behavioral health hospitals and what I have to call psychosis. I didn't witness it myself personally, but what I heard of some of his calls to suicide helplines and then his behavior with police who came as a result of the suicide helpline call. Some of his behavior was clearly psychotic. He told me too, he said, I don't know what that is that happens to my brain. I had been warned by a psychologist friend, when Andy's saying things that don't make sense, don't go to him, it's dangerous. He's owns weapons, he's Army trained, he's weapons trained. He said, there's just too much risk. And I told Andy that when he was in a good frame of mind and having a good conversation with me one day. I said, I've been warned not to come to you even if you're asking me for help because it could be dangerous. I said, what do you think about that? And Andy said, I don't know. He said, but I'm afraid of it too. He said, don't do what they say. Don't come to me. I'm just afraid. I don't know what that is that happens to my brain. I think that's psychosis.
When somebody is experiencing what Andy experienced, what do you recommend to those people? Like maybe there's marijuana users that are like, oh, I can relate to Andy saying he didn't feel right. What do you recommend somebody does to reach out for help? Call 911 or
adult or child?
Either one.
Well, a child, the parent has got to be involved. The parent should be noticing that happening, and the parent should react very strongly and get in there and do something. Don't ignore it. If there are some danger signs, get in there because the earlier you can catch something, the better. An adult like Andy was, I think about that all the time. What could I have done? What should I have done? And when they're an adult, there's a fine line that you walk that's called enabling or not enabling, and allow them to suffer their consequences for what they're doing and their decisions. So every individual is different. It helps very, very much for a person making those decisions and facing those situations to have a community that they can work with, an Al-Anon community or PAL, Parents of Addicted Loved Ones, just some other people, or through momstrong.org, or through Marijuana Victims Alliance, and that's mvaa.info. Reach out to those people and begin having a friendship and a conversation and a support group. It's so important. No one gets out of the disease of addiction alone, all by themselves. No one. A community is absolutely necessary. And not just the one suffering the disease of addiction, but the whole family, the whole entire family, the mother, the father, the grandparents, and the brothers and sisters.
And you and I talk publicly about our children, and when we talk publicly, the reaction is not always so positive. We're called liars, we're harassed, we're threatened, and I wanted you to share what you were sharing with me earlier about the legislature in your, and I think it's really good if you mention their name. Of the state, it was a state senator that said that
state representative, my own state representative representing me, told me that I should stop resisting legalized and normalized marijuana because it's going to happen, because the majority of the people want that, and besides, my son's death really doesn't matter, that it's too unusual. It's so unusual that it just doesn't count. You should stop telling that story. My reaction is, no, I need to tell it a whole lot more because this man didn't even get it, that my son's death was a marijuana-induced suicide and other children are at risk, and shame on him. What an appalling thing to say to a parent of a dead child, a grieving parent, to say that your son's death was too unusual to matter.
Well, I am grateful that you continue to speak out. You helped me with my son. And, the reason you kept speaking out and reaching out to me is because my son is still alive and is in recovery for the third time. So I appreciate you.
I know.
And
you give me strength, too, that, yes, I'm doing the right thing, and it's hard, but I've got to keep going.
Yeah. We don't want other families and other communities to experience what we've been experiencing.
I'd like to show that. That's Andy's thumbprint on a necklace. My daughter gave this to me. These are done through funeral homes. It's very, very precious to me. It's like receiving a new memory. On here I learned that Andy had a scar across his thumb. I hadn't known that before. But this gives me strength, and I wear this. I wear his dog tags when I'm doing work with him. When we're going out, I go, come on, Andy, we're going to work today. We're going to go do some drug education.
Because you share, what is your line? You share Andy's story to help others.
Oh, helping Andy help others.
There you go,
That's
helping Andy.
Helping Andy help others. He liked to do that in his lifetime. He had friends that had trouble with heroin and other hard drugs. That's one reason he wouldn't touch them, and he was afraid of them because what he'd seen with his friends. He helped them. He helped them when they lost apartments, and he was the one they're helping. So I help him keep helping others.
Here he was afraid of the other drugs, but then now his death was from marijuana. I want to thank you for sharing.
You bet.
And is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Aubrey, for being my friend.
God bless you, Sally.
Yeah.